back to me. Enough is enough. They just wanna hurt us. Bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough. We won't let them hurt us. Bring us down. Bring us down. Enough is enough.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Indie Wrestling Corner with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the queen of the indies, Tiffany. And today I got another wrestler for you guys here, my good friend Dan Barry. How are ya?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for this interview. I know a couple of people have been requesting this one too, so thanks for all the support.
Aim
everybody.
higher, guys. You guys can probably get a much more notable person than me. You know, I'm taking my jacket off. I'm a little hot today. Sorry.
It's cold out there. It's freaking cold. I saw it snowed yesterday in Worcester.
Yeah, it snowed there. It didn't snow in
I
Long
know,
Island, New York.
I know. Yeah, but it's kind of cold. So, but yeah. So, guys, if you're new here to the Under the Rope series, here I interview everything independent wrestling, whether it's wrestlers, referees, backstage promoters. I got you covered. If you guys got questions for Dan, please feel free, drop it into the chat. I'm sure he'll be more than happy to answer all of your questions. So, awesome. So. All right, let's get back into basics. I already see Sky in the chat. What's going on, Sky? What time is it in the UK? What's going on? Alex, what's up in the chat? Nick Papa G, what's going on? He said thanks for the house tonight.
You're welcome. That's every time there's a good house at a wrestling show, I'll generally take credit for it. So I'm happy. I'm happy it's me. I tweeted about it, so that's why, obviously. So.
Nick Papa G always comes in here and thanks everybody thanks for the house, and we talked about that on our interview too. So, it's midnight in UK. Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. So, awesome. So, all right, let's start from the back to basics. All right, let's go to the beginning. Let's talk about how you actually got into professional wrestling.
So, I guess the easy way to describe it is like I always liked it as a kid. My cousin Pat would babysit us, and we'd watch wrestling, and you kind of just don't remember a time in my life when there wasn't wrestling. Like my mom hated it, so she would never watch it. But when my cousin would come over, we would like mimic wrestling, and it would be, he was a big Hogan fan, and I turned out to be a big Macho Man fan, and we ended up having like like wrestling matches in the living room or whatever. And then as I got older, like I was like, I'm gonna be a pro wrestler, and then somebody was like, you'll never be a pro wrestler. You'll be small. You're small. You're never gonna be a pro wrestler. And like the driving force in my life is somebody telling me you can't do something, and I'm like, well, fuck you. I'm gonna do it. And then they're like, you're never gonna get famous, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm not, but but I got to wrestle. So it's been a weird get to, because I turned 17 and there was a wrestling school that opened up in Long Island, and called Critical Mass Pro Wrestling, which is now the NYWC Wrestling Academy. And I just basically signed up one morning. I had my mom come sign a waiver, and then I had to go and learn how to be a pro wrestler. And that was I think it's almost 22 years to the day. It's like this week or next week is 22 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah, it's wild. It's kind of crazy. I have all the bumps and bruises for it. So I mean, I paid my debts.
Little known fact, NYWC was actually the first promotion that the first place I actually saw indie wrestling at, which is
when
so
was this?
wild. It's funny because it's like I liked wrestling. I didn't know about indies until maybe about 10 years ago, I think. Believe it or not. So,
I was not there at that time in 2012. Well, yeah, I wasn't really there in 2012. You were like, that was like beginning of Rex Lawless, and like, yeah, that's when they started coming in.
it's wild to like watch like the growth,
Hmm.
you know, within even just like 10 years, and to see like where everybody's at now. And again, like I said, that's like where I went. I like now be branching out and starting to see all different promotions all over, you know,
Yeah.
even if you're watching it across the world, you know, which is
Yeah, you're watching on
insane.
Twitch or YouTube or
Or the apps.
IWTV.
Yeah. It's insane. So, all right, Alex, I'll get to your question in a few. I got you. All right. So I like to ask this question because obviously I've seen you in person a lot, but everybody's critical on themselves. So for that fan that's never seen you wrestle before, what is the go-to match that you would recommend to become an instant fan?
Look, I'm a very polarizing wrestler. I don't know. If you're looking for like a pure wrestling side of it, I would argue watch me versus Alec Price, the first one at Wrestling Open. If you like comedy wrestling, the one I would there's a couple I'd search out, but like if you were to watch me and Bill versus me and Team Tremendous versus the Anti-Fun Police from Progress, that's probably a really good uh, idea of what I could do, silly wise. And then you know, I guess like a lot of the Beyond Wrestling matches I had. We had a match. It was me, Bill, and Biff Busick against the Young Bucks and Kevin Steen, Kevin Owens. So watch that out, and you know, you pretty much get who I am at that point. I'm basically like if I guess how do I want to word this? Like if Jackie Chan was a pro wrestler, but like not the actual talent skill, but like the mindset, like that guy who shouldn't be in this scenario is still able to do things in that match. That's what I would lean on saying. That's more like me.
Awesome. I always know, like, because Sky's in the chat, and you know she's training to be a wrestler. She's 18. Are you 19 yet? So she was looking for matches to be like recommended to her. So I was like asking you guys this, so like that they can go.
So if I can recommend any match for you to watch, it'd be Alex Shelley versus Brian Kendrick from Zero One. That's my favorite match because the concept is two guys who are a tag team who have to face each other, so they don't want to hurt each other, but they want to win.
Mm-hmm.
So the match is a technical masterpiece as far as wrestling goes. It's really good. It's really a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. There you go. Add that to your list. Hey, Conrad, what's going on? Everything Pro Wrestling. Go give him some love. He's got you covered for some AEW reviews after AEW tonight. So check him out. So awesome. So she said, sounds good. And she's 19 now. So awesome. So, you know, it's funny you brought up, that was one of the questions I was going to talk about was, you know, you brought up Alec Price. Great match. I was actually there. So I got to witness the first one in person, which was phenomenal. And that it was such like a fan favorite that you guys had to do it again, you know? So I just wanted you like, you know, maybe talk a little bit more about like both matches, working Alec Price, everything like that.
Sure. So, what happened with Alec was he and I, we've run into each other numerous times. It's not like we obviously Wrestling Open and whatever. We were before a Blitzkrieg show. He and I had we just started wrestling, like chain wrestling and wrestling around for no reason, like out of nowhere. We just started doing it, and we did it probably for like 15 minutes of just pure mat wrestling and chain wrestling, and it was a lot of fun. And I was excited about it. And then the pitch came to us like, "Hey, you're gonna wrestle Alec Price." And I said, fine, but I'm not doing your 10-minute time limit. So you have to expand the time limit. And they're like, well, we can give you a little bit more time. I'm like, no, like I want as much time as I can humanly get. And they went, okay. They eventually gave it to me. And then I'm going to go inside baseball on this. And I might ruin wrestling a little bit for some of you guys, but I'm going to go into it. Beyond Wrestling Wrestling Open has like 10-minute time limits on matches, right? So Rich Palladino announces the times that have elapsed over the course. So generally when you hear a time 8 minutes have elapsed or whatever, the Wrestling Open fans tend to be like understand that means the match is probably going to end soon because we only have 10 minutes. That's like the kind of standard. And it's not like to say anything bad about it. It's just like that's the way you hear like 8 minutes remaining or 8 minutes left or 8 minutes gone, 2 minutes remaining, somebody's going to end the match. So Alec and I came up to him and I was like, I have an idea. And it's going to sound a little crazy, but I want this to feel like the match ends at 10 minutes because that's when matches normally end at Wrestling Open, and then we just keep going. So we built a false finish around the idea of Alec hitting his kick, his surprise kick, mm-hmm. And after a sequence of moves at the 10-minute mark, because Rich Palladino goes 10 minutes have elapsed. He does his sequence. He hits me 1-2, and I kicked out. And the idea was, I took the concept of Wrestling Open and made it a false finish, as opposed to a moveset. Everyone knew that 10 minutes to 11 minutes was going to be over, so if I change it, and I think that's what made the match what it was. It became really good in Wrestling Open because we took the concept of Wrestling Open and we just kind of flipped it and was like, yeah, like that's exactly what we want you to believe. And then we ended up having false finishes, and he kicked out of moves that he shouldn't have kicked out of, and I thought it was a well done match. So the first one was done like that. The second one I thought was good because we had established stuff he does. He does his one more time because this guy's trash, and I just throw him backwards over the top rope because no one expects you to do that. Right. And it's like, it's because he does this time of pointing at me and calling a spot. I'm a veteran wrestler. I know he's going to do this, so I get him out of the ring and I create distance to get myself space. And I think it was a really good showing of the veteran versus the up and comer. But the up and comer, the veteran is also the veteran who's been wrestling for a long time and maybe can't keep up with this new up and comer. And that's kind of the story we told. And I think we told a pretty good story. I think it was a fun match.
It was fun, definitely. Both of them are fun. Guys, definitely need to watch these. Yes, please do. Wrestle Open. I keep telling you, you got to watch it weekly. It's like one of my favorite weekly shows. So,
yes, guy. What the fuck? No, I'm just kidding.
What's up, Captain Dave?
And watch Muppet Christmas Carol. It's the best holiday movie.
Yes. Oh my God, that's so funny. I just you won't care about this, but they have a Christmas palette for them now for Muppet Babies. I just saw it on TikTok. I'm like, ooh, that's cute.
Look at that, a Muppet Babies palette. Oh, cool.
Come on, we can do my face as the Muppet Babies. I freaking love it. So, all right, where's that question from Alex? He goes, I actually have a question for Dan Barry. What are his thoughts on Trigger Bohannon?
I'm sorry, on Trigger?
On Trigger Bohannon, yeah.
I don't have any right now. Let me look it up. Spell that last name.
Oh, let's see. So I probably said a Bohanon.
Trigger Bohannon? Mm-hmm. I have no idea what that is.
Neither do I. Alex, you weirdo. I guess I'm bad too because I don't know what it is.
Oh, is he like a wrestler? He used to be a wrestler back in the day? Mm-hmm. Oh man, what am I trying to? What is this?
There's a million wrestlers out there. It's hard to keep up with everybody.
I know who this is. Mm-hmm. So, okay, it's a little bit of a story, but I was trying to train him. I was at FTW's wrestling school. I was trying to train, and he said he just had a bad attitude when he first started. I think he's fine now. I haven't spoken to him in a while, but I felt he had a bad attitude when he started. So what happened was that I was trying to teach him, and I remember he was just kind of like he didn't give a shit about me. And I was like, look, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just trying to do something. And he basically told me he didn't respect me. And I remember that. I'm like, you don't respect me? He goes, yeah. I'm like, get the fuck out of my ring then. That's it. You don't get to be in the ring. I was pissed. But I don't care if somebody doesn't like me. It's not a big deal. But I'm literally volunteering time to train you to be a wrestler. I'm not, I wasn't getting paid to do that. It was just me doing it.
Right.
And it was I just felt very oh, okay, fuck you then. You don't get any respect. You're a nobody. And it was, he's fine. I have nothing against him now. I think at the time I did. Now it's a lot less. I don't give a shit. But he's been really nice to me last time I saw him, which wasn't recently. So he might be a dick again. So if he is, then I apologize in advance. But I would argue maybe change the last name from Bohannon because that's a very hard name to get across. I hope Alex is Trigger Bohannon, and that makes us weirder.
Damn, Alex. Why you gotta be triggering people on this podcast? He says,
why you gotta trigger me with Trigger?
Rude. Okay, we're moving on. Anyway, John's in the chat. What's going on, John? He goes, what is your favorite wrestling promotion to wrestle at?
Well, right now I'm gonna say it's Wrestling Open, because it's young talent getting an opportunity to shine, and I think that's there's a lot. The problem with wrestling is that young talent doesn't have really a place to develop anymore because everything's available immediately. So you can find a lot of really cool wrestlers very quickly. Google search will find so many wrestlers. But the issue is that you only get one first chance. You only get one, first appearance. So after that point, if you didn't kill it in your first appearance, you're kind of shit out of luck. Like you gotta like really have to work. And I think a lot of what Wrestling Open has done is given a lot of young talent an opportunity to like mold themselves weekly into wrestlers that have the opportunity to expand further. So like I would argue like Waves and Curls is a phenomenal fun team, getting a lot more traction as a result of what they've done in Wrestling Open. And Alec Price is another one who has built his name other places, but like Wrestling Open has really given him a platform to elevate himself. And there's a couple of them like that. There's a lot of wrestlers like that, I should say, Wrestling Open. And it's a lot of fun for that reason. Otherwise, really, like, I just like wrestling. So to me, it's if I get an opportunity to wrestle, that's what I want to do. I don't care where it is, what I'm doing. Like, I just like being in the ring. That's it, which is unfortunate. And I'm almost going to be 40. So, I mean, like, at some point, I should probably fucking stop like being in the ring. But not. I'm still here, so.
Nah, we love it. We love it. Speaking of the devil, Desmond Cole, what's going on? He goes, I would love to wrestle my guy Dan. Lots of fire.
Desmond, tomorrow 11:30, be at my house. We're going up to Wrestling Open, just as a reminder. No, yeah, dude, he's another one that's like, I felt like before COVID he was kind of like floundering, and I think he'll back me up on this. I don't want to be. Desmond, I love you. I think you're a phenomenal wrestler. I told you so in the car that I really thought it was a good match. He had a really good match at the Hot Stepper at a Wrestling Open show a couple weeks ago.
I was stoked for that, yeah.
Dude, Desmond Cole is so good. I think what he's done with his time developing himself in Wrestling Open and like really changing up his character a little bit from what he was, like it really helped move him to the next level. And I think as long as he can ride that, he's doing great, and I'd love to wrestle him. I'm not taking that kick, that up kick, the capoeira kick. You can kiss my rosy red ass, but I'll get it booked somewhere.
Hell yeah, I'm here for it.
He's so good, and he's scared shitless in car rides with me because I'm a lot. Like I know him a lot. But it's fun, man. He's a good dude.
He's a good dude. You guys should check out that interview. He always pops into my chats. I love you so much. Thank you. It's so awesome. And McCrae, I love McCrae Martin. He's another one. If you guys are unfamiliar, go check out that interview with him too. That was a great interview. I love McCrae.
Yeah, he's good. He's always he's a really good wrestler, and it's the Canadians have been kind of stuck in not being able to wrestle. Get their name out. Yeah. So I'm hoping that more of them get their name out too.
Yeah, I know he's going to be at the interspecies shows next week. I'm excited for that too. So, oh man. So, and then you guys can see him at NFW. Like he's on those cards too in the stage, which is great. So, all right. So let's talk about Blitzkrieg, because I finally got to get my butt up to one of the shows, and what better way than have them face Limitless for the 2 nights that they had going on. So first night you guys went up against MSP. The second night you teamed up with BRG against Jay George, Aaron Rourke, and Angelo Carter. So let's talk about the companies. Like they're just amazing companies there. I love the venue that Blitzkrieg runs in. It's such a beautiful venue, and that was.
I like the venue. The only thing I fucking hate is the entranceway, and it's because you ever it's hard to describe it. Like you'll see a wrestler at the top of the stairs, and he looks like legit, right? Like you could see Fandango. Let's just argumentatively just say,
right,
standing at the top of the stairs, and it's like hell yeah, Fandango, and then you watch him walk down 24 steps. Before he gets to the ring, and it's always awkward. Like it's just like, yeah, little step, little step, little step, little step, little step, turn, little step, and I'm like, can you guys just like put up a pipe and drape and like have it just burst through a curtain? Like that'd be awesome.
Oh,
and
there you go.
It's but also I'm very much a I'm a dick like that. But no, Blitzkrieg, Limitless. I've wrestled for Limitless once in my life. I like Randy. Randy's a good dude. Maybe I'll do something in the future, hopefully. Blitzkrieg is a lot of fun. It's again young, hungry talent, and then a lot of guys who maybe it's like the Island of Misfit Toys in a lot of way, where there's like a lot of guys in there that maybe like you wouldn't see a lot of other places, but they work in Blitzkrieg, and it's like they should be getting more looked at more as a result of what they're doing there, and that's just a statement of fact. I'm really happy to wrestle MSP. I had never wrestled them before in my life. Me and Bill were wanting to wrestle them at one point, and it just never worked out. COVID is the thing, as it turns out. And then the second night was the 6-man tag, which literally the promoters walked up to us and was like, that match had no business being as good as it was. Well, like it's a six
Yeah.
man like short match. It's meant
Yeah.
to be like a funny haha match, and
Yeah.
then we were just like, no, fuck it, we're going in, and that's
Yeah.
what we did. So, a lot of my matches where people I feel like think about my match like, Dan's just gonna go in and be. I'm like, all right, well, fuck you. I'm gonna go in and go hard now. And now what are you gonna do? Now you can't say anything. So, I always have a chip on my shoulder. Ever since somebody says I can't do something, I do it, and that's kind of it. So.
It's so good. So good. Definitely. If you guys aren't watching those promotions, check them out. I had fun time like both nights. It was really, really fun. Definitely want to come back up there again. John in the chat says favorite match at Open.
What's that?
Favorite match at Open, Wrestling Open.
My favorite match is me versus Alec 1. Me versus Alec Price 1. I really liked wrestling CPA because it was ridiculous. I really liked wrestling Rob Chase, the burglar, Hamburglar. I'm gonna call him the burglar.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked that match because it was goofy and it was a match that a certain member of the Wrestling Open team was very upset that match happened, and that's what made it even funnier for me. Is just being ridiculous, but it was a lot of fun. It was a fun little match. I've had a lot of really fun matches. I enjoyed, I like my match at Ray Jazz. I really like my match. The match I think is very kind of overlooked was me versus Max Caster because I think we told a really good story and it was a lot of fun. But it's like, it's not. It was a match that maybe probably would have been better for a different crowd. I think. Generally, wrestling open crowds are like I describe it as like a carnival with alcohol. Like you're just kind of like. People are there and they're like the matches are happening, but they're kind of talking to themselves. So you kind of have to like engage the crowd a lot more. And I think with me and Max, we told a story, and I think the story was a really good story, but I think that the crowd could have been into it a little bit more. And that's my own personal opinion, but
I like the crowd up there. I mean, it's just like
they're great.
They're great
great.
people.
It's an environment, right?
Yeah.
So like you're in a party, and you're the entertainment at a party. And sometimes the party doesn't give a shit, and sometimes the party does give a shit. So how do you get the party to give a shit? You pay attention to the party,
right? And
you exist in the party. And I'm lucky in that I have sort of the established rapport that, like, when I come to the ring, like people go, "Oh, it's Dan, he's here."
Yeah.
But like some of the newer talent, like really have to work their asses off to get that crowd. But once you do, money, it's great.
I've had that conversation with somebody. I'm not gonna say who, but like we got into it, and I'm like, if you're gonna have 5 minutes. Make it the best 5 minutes.
But the problem is wrestlers think of that as like do everything I know in 5 minutes. It's like that's not how you should think. You should think totally different. If I were you, I would think like, in my mind, I think it would be something along the lines of make your match stand out or make your match entertaining. And wrestlers think that means like 15,000 moves and whatever. And it's like no. Right. Like I don't do 15,000 moves. I interact. That's my goal. And if you interact with the crowd and you have a lot of fun, you can make as long as you make them have fun. Like stop wrestling for the gift. Stop wrestling for the feed. Like have a good match and people will notice. And that's it. Have fun.
Definitely. Hey, Sam's in the chat. What's going on? How are you? Sky's making notes. You're making her day because she likes to take notes from the. Oh, he's been in the business long enough, so you should
I charge for this normally, so you're gonna have to start really paying attention. No.
I love it. Thanks, Sam, for joining us. I appreciate that. All right, so let's talk a little bit about AEW Dark because I think this is such like an amazing thing for especially like the indies and everybody trying to like make names for themselves and like get on a little bit of TV time and then working these massive crowds. But I just think it's great what they're doing. So you got to be a part of that a little bit. Work Chuck Taylor, the Dark Order. So tell us a little bit, like in your words, like your experience, being behind the scenes of like AEW. How was it being in a massive crowd and all that?
Well, so it's a little weird with being backstage because it's like most of those people, with the exception of very few, when I was there, I had done indies with forever. That's over the course of years and years and years. So you're really just kind of hanging out with your friends again, which is great. It's one of my favorite pieces of it. It was weird because it was still COVID time, so like. I think that objectively, like as a person, like I'm watching the wrestling as like Dan, how I would watch wrestling.
Right.
And I think that they're like, well, we need you to be a crowd, and it's like, right, but like in a crowd, this is how I would act. Like I'm not being too cool for camera. I'm just somebody who like pays attention to the matches because I love wrestling.
Right.
And I think they wanted somebody from the crowd perspective to be a little bit more of like a clap, cheer kind of guy. And this is not not because I think I'm too cool. It's not it at all. It's just who they want you to be. But for the matches, it was like I got lucky because they were like, who are we going to put Dan with? And it was like, you know, Colt was like Dan Barry, I want to wrestle with Dan Barry, and then Chuck was like, I want to wrestle with Dan Barry. So I got lucky, and then I kind of got picked. The negatives that I have, the things I'll take away from it were, I wore my Hawaiian shirt and shorts, and I think that as a Tony Khan has no idea who the fuck Dan Barry is. I know that for a fact. That's a true statement. I don't think that was the best foot forward I could have put for AEW, was me wearing a Hawaiian shirt and shorts, right? Like, it makes sense for people who know me,
right.
But if you don't know me, I'm a dude wrestling in clothes I could have got at Target.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit... So me being self-aware enough to be like, okay, I probably should have come in with something different, but I didn't have the guts to do it, right? So, like, inside baseball is that Bill had gotten signed to Ring of Honor, and we had been picked to go to AEW Dark, and Bill now could no longer go to AEW Dark, so now it's just me going alone. So I did the best I could. I did what I thought I could do, and I had a lot of fun. I got a fun match with Chuck, and I got offense in against the Dark Order, which it was just simply them saying they wanted me to get offense in. That's the truth of that statement. So, I'm lucky that I knew Stu and Colt and Chuck, and it was great. Everyone was really cool. It was a really cool environment. I'm happy I got to hang out with people. Catch up with people I haven't spoken to in a long, long time. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's like also like good advice maybe for someone that wants to get onto Dark, like maybe what they should think about when they go there pretty much, so.
On any wrestler going to any Dark, I had this conversation with another wrestler who I'm not gonna name because I feel like they might be embarrassed by this, but like the first time you see someone, you make a decision on them, right? And that decision goes up and down. They always say don't judge somebody by your book, but book by its cover, you should say. It doesn't matter. You do. Everyone makes that snap judgment. Every single person makes a snap judgment. Do not give them a reason to hate you immediately. So show up, ready to work, looking like a wrestler, looking like what you're supposed to do, and I think that you'll be in better position than you could ever be in. So take that from the guy who's been wrestling for 22 years and is had a shitty body for 90% of it. Like, maybe work out, hit the gym, get tan.
There you go. Trayvon Jordan's in the chat. He goes, Dan Barry is the man in and out of the ring, and he puts a heart emoji and the hands up. He said, big respect to Dan Barry. For real. Thank you for the kind words.
Hey, man, anytime, man. I don't know where these chats are coming up because I don't see them, but I'm sure that they're somewhere cool.
I have it like in one thing that's all together for the program. Sky said she's going to have pages of notes. So there you go. That's why we do these interviews. So, all right, let's do some of these fan tweets. I got a lot of them. So, okay, this one's from John. Go. So his first question is, some of the oddest shows you have been on.
All right, so this is story time. I have a couple. So one of them was we used to do shows in Bethany, Connecticut. Not Bethany, Bristol, Connecticut, in a place called Crystal's Palace. I think that's what the name of it is. Crystal's, something along those lines. And it was like a bar that had like a little venue in the back, like a country bar type thing. So we had two locker rooms at different times. One was the basement, which was we all shared a bucket and we sat on, got changed, and we gave the bucket to somebody else. It was real bad. Oh, and then the other one was the apartment upstairs. So we went to this apartment, we saw like all this stuff, and we're like, oh, we just started getting changed in the apartment. And then we realized like somebody actually lives there. And so like she was a bartender.
Oh my God.
She was in love with one of the wrestlers named Josh Daniels. And she wanted nothing more than to have sex with Josh Daniels. So she would leave the door open a crack and like start getting changed, but like show everything. And we're like her like, what is her living room now? Like trying to put clothes on. Like, okay, like this is real weird now. Like, and like Josh, who was then I think engaged, just slowly closed the door on her and like tried to lock it because he didn't want to. It was bad. Like, I feel bad saying it, but that's a true story. Weirdest places I've wrestled. The weirdest one is Rikers Island. That's the claim to fame I have. Is I've wrestled in a prison, and that was I wrestled for a company as a born again Christian wrestling company named PWR, and they would teach God through wrestling. Now, I'm not religious. I'm not pro minus whatever.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I just kind of leave it alone. Yes, everything pro wrestling, a prison. Rikers Island is literally like it's. I guess it would be.
You should know this, Conrad. I mean, you live in New York.
Yeah, but it's like Rikers Island is like where you go before you go to Sing Sing. Like it's it's kind of like holding, I guess is what you would call it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've never been. Well, behind the bars. So we get up and there's a music video for Metallica's Saint Anger, which is one of the worst songs in the world. But before the music video, they play like a little vignette where they're like, hey, like if there's a riot and they hold you hostage, we don't negotiate. And I always thought that was like a really funny thing. Like then Metallica's like, yeah, we're so badass that we're gonna do this. But then like indie wrestlers, we did the same thing. They gave me the same speech, and it was like, hey, like, you know, if anything bad happens, we don't negotiate. And I'm like, whatever. Like if it's 1-on-1, I could probably at least choke somebody out. If it's like 4-on-1, like I'm just gonna lay down. And they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Like there's nothing I'm gonna do about this, you know.
Yeah.
So we got changed in like the center. And then you go to the back, and the one thing I remember about Rikers Island is it felt like a school. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel like a prison. It felt like you were in like a middle school or like in that level. And then I find out that the people who designed Rikers Island also designed most of the middle schools in Long Island. So it's like, there's like a common theme. But then like you start thinking about the indoctrination into like being behind bars and like how it's easy for young people to get caught up in that because it's a familiar territory. It becomes a whole thing, and I'm gonna become a psycho about it. I was wrestling this guy Chris, and I basically was like, hey, like we're wrestling in front of literal murderers. I'm gonna have to hit the shit out of you. I'm gonna beat your ass because I need them to buy what we're doing, and we're number one on the card. He goes, all right, man, so I'll beat the shit out of you back. I'm like, cool, man. Let's, like, we shook hands, we're like men, like we're just gonna fucking lay into each other.
Yeah.
Opening spot, grab a headlock, shoot him off. He takes a tackle. The entire crowd goes bananas. The easiest move in pro wrestling, they went nuts for. I started laughing my ass off, and I looked at him like, we're not doing shit. And we had one of the most fun matches I've ever had because we changed everything on the fly. Everything. And we were doing like a body slam and like hulking up and like all this shit. It was so fun. But when I came to the ring, I was wearing. They were as I was walking in, they just kept kind of going, "Sue Woo," and I didn't know what that meant because I am a dude from the suburbs of Long Island, and it was because I was wearing blue and they were Bloods, and they wanted me to let me know that they were Bloods and I was not safe. And I was like, "Oh fuck!" Like, you know, like. Me being me, I'm like, I just look good in blue, leave me alone. And like, it didn't matter. But we had a really good match. And then the next match, a Wrestling Magic came out and was like, let me guess, you guys are all innocent. And they're like, yeah. And he goes, you know what the difference between you and me is? I'm going home today. And the crowd went nuts and started booing and like fucking getting raucous. And it's like the security guard goes, who the fuck told him he could do that? And I was like, whoop, I'm out of here. And then as the match is starting, the NYU criminal psychology department walks in to see how the criminals would react to this type of psychology, like this type of stimulus, I should say. And they were all women, and I would say all of them were very attractive.
Oh, wow.
So these guys did not care about pro wrestling at all from that point forward. And it just changed. Everyone's just like staring. And then me being the wrestler that I am, I did another show, so I left immediately to make my double booking. But yeah, it was that was the weirdest. That was the weirdest one. I mean, like I wrestled in like weird places, like places everyone's like that's kind of weird. But like Rikers is the one where it's like, yeah, not a lot of people have that notch in their belt.
Yeah. Oh man.
And was it a good payday? No, it was not.
Oh,
I can tell you right now. Indie wrestling, you can pretty much guarantee it's not a good payday. I'm just giving you a heads up.
Yeah. This is why you got to buy.
And they weren't
merch.
buying merch.
See,
they weren't. Yeah, turns out they weren't buying merch. They're showing up like cartons of cigarettes to try and take shirts away from me.
This is why buy the merch, support your favorite wrestlers, go buy their 8
Yeah,
by
support your
10s,
favorite
go
guys,
buy whatever
support-
it is that they have. Support them, they'll get the money, you know? So
For
definitely. There you
WrestlingTees.com/Dan Barry,
go.
please, for the love of God.
That link's in the description below. I mean, we'll go over it again later or whatever like that. So, I'm just John's in the chat. He was asking. I feel bad. I'm sorry, John, but he was asking because he just came in later and he wanted to know about your match with Alec and he wanted to know what your favorite match was at Open. So, you know, if you go back and listen to the beginning, I don't want to make you.
Yeah,
like,
so
repeat it.
Alec match was great. It was a lot of fun, and that's probably my favorite match at Open right now.
Awesome. The second part to John's question, he wanted to know also, like, what is the oddest one in your stand-up comedy career, too?
The oddest venue?
Well, the oddest, like, you know, any oddest show, anything.
So I've done retirement homes. I've done, like, what's called private gigs. So, like, a corporate headquarters will call you in. And it's like they go to an agency. The agency calls you, and you just get whatever. My favorite I bombed really bad. There's a 2-day bike-a-thon on Shelter Island. So Long Island, if you look at Long Island, it's a fish.
Mm-hmm.
So in between the tails of the fish is an island called Shelter Island. And it's a bike-a-thon. It's 2 days, and it's to raise money, I want to say, for like muscular dystrophy. Forgive me if I'm not correct. I'm trying to remember this. No, whatever. It's something like that. So when the bike-a-thon ends, they're supposed to go get food, and then they get like alcohol, and then a comedy show is taking place. So on the comedy show is me, this guy John, and Mick Foley, and the three of us are the guys doing the charity fundraiser. So I'm sitting there. They didn't get enough food. They got enough food for half of the people at the bike-a-thon, and so there wasn't enough food, so they had to get more food, which was not happening. The alcohol never made it.
Oh, no.
So these people have been riding a bike for 2 days. They went to come back to have drinks and food and relax and calm down, and it didn't. And then I went up and I told a really bad joke to start. And it was, it's nice that you guys are doing this. I say give yourself a round of applause for doing the bike-a-thon for muscular dystrophy. But I have acid reflux. Can I get like a walk-a-thon? Can I get like something? And the one guy in the front row just looked at me and went, no. And then that was it. That was the only response I got for 15 minutes was that one guy who said no. And it was, I mean, like I bombed. I did bad. And I was like laughing at how bad I bombed. And then the next two comics fought out of it. Well, Mick Foley fought out of it, but it was also, it's like, he's Mick Foley. So like he had like that added like, hey, I'm a WWE legend who's telling you stories. And they're like, oh, I'll listen to him. But they fucking hated me to the extent that the people who organized it like walked up to me and they go, I don't know who to apologize to, you or them. And I said,
oh, no.
Honestly, I think you just apologize to them and say sorry that you didn't give us beer and alcohol.
Man, Sam says pop for the retirement home game.
Dude, it's honestly, those ones are my favorite because like you get like these random, like I don't know how to describe it. It's retirement homes. It's also like communities, and like you kind of just go into like the like common room.
Yeah.
And you're not like on a stage, you're just like standing in front of a wall, and there's two speakers, and you just kind of go up and you have to tell like jokes, and like, you know, you can't be too risque, because they don't like that at all. And so I try to be like I don't use swear words. You have to kind of, but they pay well. So
there you go.
My mortgage does not give a shit if I got a whole lot of laughs or if I told jokes that were true to my heart. If you don't think I'd tell a knock-knock joke for money, you're out of your mind. I would absolutely do it.
I love that. All right, let me switch over to the chat with some question. Johnny says, do you want Sydney gone from the Wrestling Open if Price wins?
I don't want Sydney gone, man. That guy legitimately committed to pissing his pants at a Wrestling Open show. Like, there's no one in wrestling. The amount of times... Okay, so Sydney Bacabella legitimately drank enough water so that when the spot came, he could piss his pants on Wrestling Open. So people thought that it was like a squirt bottle or something. So he did the only thing he knew to do was just put both of his hands up to show he had nothing and then piss his pants. That is commitment for a bit. That's what that is. It is a man commit. Is it gross? Yeah. Fucking disgusting. But Would you do it? Do you have the balls to be like, I'm gonna piss myself in front of hundreds of people and people all over the internet? Bet you don't. Sydney Bacabella does. That's all I'm saying. And he has great one-liners, and Paul Crockett hates them.
Man. The other John in the chat said, where is it? Dan, when are we going to see you and 50 Cal go against the tag team champs? My boys.
Which company?
Wrestling Open.
Oh, so whenever Paul and Drew get around to booking it, that's how I'll word that.
There you
And
go.
I'm happy to do it. I would argue that we have yet to qualify for the match. That's how I'll put that, because there's a lot of guys who have had a lot more wins than 50 Cal and I, and they probably get top priority. But if anybody wants to come and give us an opportunity, that's what they say is it would be a fluke if we won. But I'll tell you right now, the idea of a fluke is that if you're hungry and you go fishing, a fluke isn't what you really want. But if you're hungry, it's all you need. So I'm happy to get a fluke.
Hey, Jimmy's in the chat. Jumbo Ref, much love to you. What's going on? All right, let's go to another fan tweet here from WWE Master. He goes, what of these 3 legendary stipulations do you want to compete in, and what indie wrestler for each match? Buried Alive, Last Ride match, or Inferno match?
So I don't even know what a last ride match is. I know what a Buried Alive match is. That's pretty straightforward. The Inferno match, I don't know if I ever want to do one of those. I would do a Buried Alive match. That's what I would do. I don't know what a Last Ride match is. That seems like, was that like Taker cinematic one?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I would never want to do a cinematic match because I feel like I would hate it so much. I love the idea of them. I think I would hate it. I think I'd be in that match like, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, it's like hour 10 of me filming this thing, and I'm like, I fucking hate my life. Please get me out of here. The Buried Alive match, I think, would be fun because it's a fun gimmick. And I want to do that Big Show Mankind spot where he throws from the stage and he, like, falls into the hole. That's what I want. I want to do that spot. Yeah, I'll say Buried Alive. And then I'll say I want to do it with Bill.
Ooh.
With Bill Carr. Dutch. Sorry, I can't call him
Okay.
Bill Carr. I would do it Dutch because it'd be fun to wrestle him in a gimmick match like that. That is ridiculous to have.
Oh, he said it's the last man if you get put in back of a hearse. That's what it was. Thanks, Jimmy.
Oh, it's just an ambulance match. It's the same
There you
concept.
go.
That's boring. I don't want that. I want the Buried Alive match.
There you go.
Just because I can, like, I want to be at, but I want to do it at, like, Wrestling Open. And then, like, you walk into Wrestling Open, there's just, like, a mound of dirt in the middle of the building, and, like, fans have to walk around it, and we have to wrestle in a Buried Alive match in the middle of Worcester.
Be fun. All right, next fan tweet is from Good Cop, Bad Cop. He said, with Dan Barry being an anagram of bar and dry, tell us a cool story involving alcohol and a cool story not involving alcohol.
Cool story involving alcohol, I'll say WrestleMania New York. I wrestled Bill in a death match in Manhattan, and the Hilton. And we almost got the show shut down. It was a whole thing. I've talked about it before, so I won't go too deep into it. But I went to the bar, and I saw David Arquette. And David Arquette and I were drinking a fair amount. I don't want to say anybody was too drunk, but we were drunk. We were not sober at the time. And I looked over him, and he was wearing pants that had Mickey Mouse on them. And I was like, hey, man, I like your pants. And he looked at me for like 5 seconds, and he goes, we doing this? And I was like, what? And he goes, are we fucking doing this? And then he starts to take off his pants. And I'm like, wait, huh? And he goes, are we trading fucking pants? And I went, yeah. And so I, in the middle of this Hilton bar, take my pants off. He takes his pants off. We trade belts, and then we trade pants. There are fans sitting behind us, blown away that they're seeing this. And I put on the Mickey Mouse pants, and I wore them. And to this day, they are in my room. I have the Mickey Mouse pants He traded me what were $125 pants for my $18 Target Denizen jeans in the middle of a Hilton bar in New York City. So that's my cool drinking story. It's weird. It's a weird story. What's my cool non-drinking story?
Wow.
I have at least one, right? I have to have one. I don't know, I'm not very interesting, guys. I don't have cool stories.
It's okay. It's okay. I think that made up for not having one without drinking.
Oh, here's a good one. I was working on a show called what the fuck was it called? It was an NBC show. I was working in television at the time, and I was working on the show Smash. It was on NBC for one season, and I was on my job was locations. And in television, when you work in locations, you have to get there early, like the first person there, and you're the last person to leave. So you have like 20-hour work days. So I would sleep in a van, or I would I would crash at my friend's house who lived in Brooklyn, and then I would shower at a gym nearby on a break. Like that's how I functioned. So by day 4 of that shoot, I was shot, just dead. And I'm standing there and I have bags under my eyes, and I'm friends with all the people, all the other production people working on the show. And I'm staring and I'm like, I know it's because I'm exhausted. And all I hear is the voice of somebody saying, "What, were you out partying all night?" And it sounded a lot like one of the people that I work with. So I said, "No, bitch, I was fighting crime." And I look up and I realized it was actually the star of the show, a woman named Catherine McPhee.
Oh my God.
And I'm staring, and then she gives me a look, and then she's walks off. So now I'm just kind of sitting there, and I'm like, oh, well, this is my last day at work. You know what I mean? I just called the star of a show a bitch. So I call, because catering has there's a catering person, there's a catering hall where extras and production people go to eat lunch, whatever. Yeah. And I go, "What time will lunch be ready?" He goes, "We serve lunch at 12. I'm like, no. When will it be ready? Because I need to eat before everyone gets there because I'm going to get fired today." And he goes, 11:30. So I'm like, okay. So 11:30 on the dot, I'm sitting in that room. The food starts. I start just shoving food in my face. And it's pot roast and mashed potatoes, just shoving food in. When the door opens and up from the stairs comes Catherine McPhee and an entourage of people. And I'm like, fuck, this is my job. So she looks at me and she goes, "Batman?" And I went, "McPhee," and she walked away. And I took my plate and I walked out the front door and I just hid for the rest of the day. But I kept the job and I worked there for another month and a half.
Oh my God, I appreciate that because I love that show, and then I was sad when it went off the air.
Yeah, it was a terrible show. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was not good. I don't know why. I don't know why you liked it.
I like
really
the music.
Good.
I don't know. I'm a chick. What do you
yeah,
want? That's what it is. I'm a chick. I have them on DVD. That's the funny.
Well, I worked on that show, so you're welcome. You get to.
So I appreciate that story. John in chat says, "Damn, you have to bring the Mickey Mouse pants to Wrestling Open now for one match."
They do not fit. I'm gonna tell you right now. They didn't fit when I took them, and I was thinner then. And I've lost weight, but I'm still a thicker person than I was. So they're a size 30 waist, and I'm a size 34 waist. So they are not comfortable. It's pressing everything in, guys.
Sorry, John. The other John says, "Have you considered doing a death match at ICW, GCW, or H2O if the opportunity presents itself?"
No. The reason I did the death match with Bill is because so I'll go in. I've done 2 real matches that involve a lot of weapons and blood. I've done a couple, but I've done these 2 specifically, and it's because there was stories around it. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a tough guy that can kind of take shards of glass and oh shit, I'm just not that guy. I don't want to pretend that I am. I wouldn't do it just to make it seem like I was cool. But the reason I did the death match with Bill in New York City is because they wanted us to do a comedy death match, and me and Bill couldn't figure out what that was. So then we decided what the funnier option of that would be was 2 comedy guys having an actual death match, and so that's the only reason we did it. And that was the story behind that. And then we built it up by throwing balloons at each other and streamers, and people were Cyrus is on the call hating this match, and then Bill pulled out a balloon penis covered in thumbtacks and laced me with it. And it was like it changed the dynamic of the match, and that's what I think people like the match for. But the idea is that two idiots thought it'd be hilarious to have a real death match. We almost got the show shut down, by the way.
Oh God.
The commissioner came up to me and was like trying to shut the show down, was like screaming at me, and I was like, Mr. Orlando, like we called this, like this isn't like I didn't. So it was a lot of fun. It was like whatever, but at the end of it, we had the doctor convince the whatchamacallit, the commissioner that like my cuts on my head were all superficial and they weren't real. And then the doctor was like, "Yeah, you gotta clean your fucking head. That's gross." I was like, "Thanks, man." I walked away.
Man. Jeez.
Yep.
What's up, Ashley in the chat? TWM Talks. Go give them some love over there. Give Ashley love. We talk indies every other Monday night on her Twitch channel. We talk everything indies. I love it.
You talk about me? You can't talk about me. That's not
We talk about everything.
Oh shit!
All right, we're
Man,
gonna
I'm
clip
self-conscious.
this. We're gonna talk about this on the next show.
Please.
We're gonna clip about the Mickey Mouse pants. So, but no.
I'm wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt too,
There
guys.
you
Like,
go.
come on,
Look at that.
I'm
Look at
committed.
that.
I
Look at
committed
that.
to the bit.
Well, speaking of deathmatch wrestling, all right, I have a fan, well, not a fan tweet, but in the DMs kind of question for you from Casey Kirk, Casey Catal, like
Yeah,
whatever you
Casey
want to
Catal,
call
yeah.
her nowadays. She said, "We should have got married."
So, okay, this is funny. So, Casey, I forget what happened, but she was. We started joking around about how we should be married, and then she was dating somebody else. I don't want to say exactly who because she knows what I'm gonna say. She was dating somebody else, and then she started dating Brandon, and they got married. And the joke was always like, "It should have been us." Like not seriously, but like jovially. But hi, Casey. You're the one that got away. You're the one of many that got away. that got away. Just kidding.
I love it. All right, let's see. Another fan tweet. This one's from Amy. She wants to know, what is your go-to detergent?
Tide, guys. It's Tide Pods. You eat one,
don't
you
eat
use the other one. You use the other one to clean the clothes. You guys don't do this? What are you, weird? Yeah, it's literally. I'm cold wash, just a cold wash, and throw the Tide Pod in and leave it alone. That's it. I don't have like a whole. I used to drop my laundry off because I didn't like doing it, but now it's a Tide Pod and a cold. Sorry, it wasn't more interesting.
Oh my God, I'm done. All right. Next fan tweets from John. He says, people that are fans or friends that would surprise most.
I don't have any. I don't know who my fucking fans are. I think the friend that normally surprises people is Josh Barnett because he's a UFC fucking icon, and like it's real weird to like, I don't know. People have seen us together and they're like, what? I don't understand why this is. Actually, here's a good story. I was in Disney World with Matt Cardona when he was still Zack Ryder, and we were just hanging out, like going to Disney, going rides, and all day he just hears like woo woo woo, and you could just see it like just cutting into his skin. Like you could see that like people, he hated that. That's how people. It's one thing when like you're Ric Flair or like whatever, you hear like woo, it's like exciting.
Yeah.
Like just imagine like walking around and all day you hear is woo woo woo, and it's like, oh my God, this is awful. So one point we're like halfway through the day and he hears woo woo woo. Is that Dan Barry? And that's all. That's all I needed. That's the fun one. Celebrities, I don't know. I don't think I have many celebrity friends. Dwayne, The Rock, we're close. Other than Dwayne, that's it.
Okay. All right, let's do a question that's dear to my heart on this podcast, Wrestling with Positivity. So is there anything that you could share with us? Maybe something that a fan's done for you, maybe something you've done for a fan, maybe a wrestler's done for you, maybe something you've done for a wrestler, something that we wouldn't normally know about, but that you could share with us.
I mean, I'll say last year, I was sick. I think it was COVID. I never tested positive. Like I never tested positive, but like you had the symptoms.
Right.
And it was Christmas time last year. And Christmas time last year, I was real sick. And my sister-in-law sent me a post of a wrestling fan who was based out of Chicago, who wasn't gonna be home for Christmas, and she just wanted like a one wrestler to do something nice for this person. So, and then I'm gonna put myself down here for a second. Bear with me. Like this kid doesn't give a fuck about Dan Barry. He gives a fuck about like real like names, like famous TV wrestlers. So this touched me a lot because I was gonna miss my family for Christmas because I was homesick, and it was like Christmas is like a big holiday for me, and I wasn't gonna see anybody, and it was kind of depressing for me. So I was like, let me put it out into the world on Twitter to see if there's anybody who will send him videos. Literally, fucking everyone sent this kid videos. Every single person you could possibly imagine: Seth Rollins, Edge, Natty Neidhart, the Rascals, the whole all of NXT. You had Drew Galloway, you had Malachi Black, you had I call her Thea, Zelina Vega. All of these people, there's so many. I'm not doing enough of them justice, so I apologize if their names aren't mentioned. Basically, all recorded videos, sent them to me on WhatsApp, Twitter, whatever, and I would download them and send them to this kid. And that's what I did for my Christmas, was me sending this kid the videos of, and I just the way that the wrestling community kind of like came together to like help this kid. Why can't I think of his name? Titus O'Neil sent this kid like gift boxes. People gave this kid gift boxes of shit. Like it's so cool how well like wrestlers come together when they know like a little kid is like not doing well. Yeah. Kid's alive. Kid's great. He's okay. He's with his family. But up until probably I think Christmas Eve, he didn't think he was going to see his family for Christmas. And then Christmas Eve, the doctor told him he can go home. Aww. And it was like he came home to like all these gifts and everything. And I still have they sent me a card. I still have the card in my kitchen. It's a nice thing. So that's what I did for last Christmas.
I love that.
Yeah,
Aww.
that's like the positivity. That's like, I give, and they didn't do it like, I want to be clear. WWE wrestlers did not do this because somebody and high up in WWE told them to do it. These are people in their Christmas break who were doing this on the side. Yeah. So that's why it's so cool to me.
Yeah, that's why I love sharing these stories. I mean, we deal with so much negative, and there's so many beautiful stories out there that I just love to share it. And so, thank you. Oh, I love that so much. John Chat says, how did you feel at Open before Halloween and the girls dressed up like you?
It was very flattering, but I'm also like, they looked a lot better than me and Bill ever did. But it's cool. Like, I've been lucky in the respect that, in the idea that like fans kind of look at that portion of my life in a good light, and they'll dress like us because it's funny and whatever. But like, it's cool. Like, it's like a cool moment. But watching them walking, I was, I turned red because it's like, of course, like they dress like me. It was funny.
It was funny. I was with my best friend Brad the other day, and like he was wearing like a Hawaiian shirt, like a blue and white one, just like the one that I have it on the logo. If you guys are watching this on the audio or on the thumbnail or whatever, and I was like, "Oh, hi, Dan Barry."
Hell yeah, it's a good look. Honestly, like I wish it didn't look so unprofessional because I blue and white's my color, man. Yeah. I'll keep that all day. But like, I just look like a shitty wrestler by wearing that, so I had to try and not do that.
Well, it was definitely fitting for Bish at the Beach. That was a fun show. Definitely watch that if you guys didn't watch that. I'm glad that I came up for that one too. It was just a fun day to like watch it. And I left and then it started raining, so thank God.
We missed the rain so close, and like
within like 10 minutes probably.
Yeah, I hate outdoor wrestling shows so much. I hate them so much. I can't describe to you how much I hate outdoor wrestling shows. That was one of the few fun ones I had.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, that was fun. Definitely watch that. That's finally up on IWTV. So, what's some things you like to do when you're not in the squared circle?
I like to travel. I'm a travel guy. Obviously I go to like Disney parks and things like that because it's just a short flight from New York. Mm-hmm. But I think I'm dying. I like traveling. That's like the most fun for me. I walk my dog a lot. That's kind of my life, is taking care of my dog and trying to get on the road and do some fun stuff. I like gambling. I'm a gambling guy. I'm not like an addict. I just like to play every now and then. Yeah. Otherwise, I just wake up in the morning and go to the gym, and then the thing is, like, I have like, I am gonna be 40 in like 3 months. Yeah. Like I have like a 9 to 5. My 9 to 5 is not a job that I'm not going to talk about it on here, but like, you know, I'm busy a lot. So my lucky thing is that like I travel for work, I travel for wrestling, I travel for comedy. I use those points and those benefits that I get from traveling to like go on trips. And that's the best part about it is that like I'm going to Hawaii next week. I'm going to Hawaii based on the fact that I have a lot of points from traveling throughout the course of a year and I can accrue them and then buy a flight. So
fun.
It's kind of a cool opportunity.
Well, I will welcome you into the 40 Club since I broke it in August. So it's like, welcome.
There's a lot of miles in this body. I'm going to tell you right now.
We have a lot of Advil and we have a lot of like heating pads here in 40.
Yeah, we stretch and take Midol for cramps.
All right. I have 2 final questions for you. If you guys have anything else, please feel free to drop it into the chat. All right. I mean, the year's pretty much almost over. We only have like a few more weeks of like 2022. You know, I mean, long term, whatever, but is there any like goals that you have maybe within the next year that you'd like to hit?
I don't know. I want to wrestle in Los Angeles again. I want to wrestle in. This one's a really long shot. I want to wrestle in Japan. But I think that ship sailed. I'd like to go back to OTT in Ireland one more time and say, I guess it'd be at this point goodbye, because it's like there's only so much more wrestling I could do. I think, you know, I want to enjoy myself. That's kind of it. I don't look at. To me, it's like if I get to go to Wrestling Open and like help a talent get better or whatever, that's what I can do. That's what I'd like to contribute to. That's my goal in wrestling, because I'd love to be an agent. I'd love to be that type of person. But like right now on the indies, I'm happy to be the guy that kind of helps guide people and then moves them to the next level that they would have to get to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. John Sat in the chat says, would you rather join the Bloodline or beat the Bloodline?
Join. They're at the top of the fucking card. You know how much money they're making? That's what I want to do. Give me money. There's no money in me beating Roman Reigns. You're fucking mind. Imagine him going like ooh and then me hitting like a fucking shitty super kick and pinning him. That would be so garbage. But if it was like me and Sami Zayn just causing chaos, like that's a way cooler opportunity for me. Yeah. You know, I think so many people want to be at the top of the card. They don't realize how fun the middle can be. Mm-hmm. And that's where I am. I'm the middle guy. Like, I'm super happy with that.
Awesome. Okay, so I always like to end on like a positive on this podcast. And again, like, I mean, Sky was in the chat earlier. You know, there's a lot of wrestlers or inspired wrestlers that watch this podcast. So what's the piece of advice that you would give them?
There's no magical formula to success. It is time and effort. That's it. Put in your time, put in the effort. Things happen, they don't happen, but that's all it takes. Time and effort. If something has to be improved, put the effort in, put the time in. If somebody's been wrestling for one day more than you, you should try and learn from what they've learned from, because they know 24 hours of information you don't have. That's something you should think about every single day, is that you have to learn. And then your end goal should always be to just be better than you were the day before. That's it. That's both mentally, psychologically, it's both in personal life and wrestling life. Just try and be better than the day you were before. Otherwise, work, go to the gym, get in shape, do what you can do, get your cardio up, and then be easy to work with. And that's it. As long as you're easy to work with, you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's great advice. So thank you for that. All right, so what do we got coming up? So obviously...
Tomorrow, Wrestling Open. Wrestling Open in Worcester, Massachusetts.
Yes.
They haven't announced my match, so we'll see what's going on. It'll be fun. It'll be a lot of good time. After that, on Saturday, I will be at New York Wrestling Connection in Deer Park, New York. That is, I think it's 7 p.m. in Deer Park, New York. So nywcwrestling.com. You can check it out there. And then I'm going to be on vacation, so leave me the fuck alone. I want to be gone. I want to be tan. That's not going to happen. I'm 100% Irish, the color of loose leaf. But I want to not be as loose leafy when I come back. But I'll be back, and we'll have a lot of fun. And I will hopefully see everybody. You know, Wrestleville is coming up.
Yes.
See you guys at Wrestleville. Wrestleville.
Wrestleville, yeah.
I have a bunch of matches on that card. One, I'm wrestling at Blitzkrieg. They haven't announced the match, but I'm going to tell you right now, I know what it's going to be. You guys are going to fucking love it. Pizza Party Pro Wrestling. I'm going to be at Pizza Party Pro Wrestling. And I'm saying it right now. I'm at Heavy Lies the Crown. I know who I've asked to wrestle, and let's see how that goes.
Ooh, definitely stay tuned. I'm excited. I'm finally coming. I was supposed to go up last year, and then I got sick, and I was very upset. But this year is stacked, so I'm very excited. Every promotion is amazing.
Last year, I rang in the new year, sitting at the bar downstairs with Vincent. That's what I did last year, just sitting in the basement, and that's it. Happy 2021. I'm just like, 2022. It's like, shit.
So definitely check that out on IWTV. I love it. So tell everybody where they could find you, buy your merch, all that fun stuff.
Sure. Twitter, Instagram, The Dan Barry. I'm on basically every social media as The Dan Barry. I'm on that Mastodon thing. I haven't used any of it yet. I just created the username because, who knows what Elon's going to do to Twitter. So we have that. ProWrestlingTees.com/Dan Barry. See me at shows. Whatever. I'm easy enough. I'll try and announce more of my gigs. Who knows? I might just be lazy and just tweet it once.
Well, that's why you need to follow all the socials and all that good stuff coming up, and all those links are in the description below for you guys. So, and support. Go buy some merch. All that fun stuff.
I have a dog to feed. He's a pit bull. He's very lovely.
Hungry, very hungry.
he's 89 pounds, guys. Like, I have a big ass dog. Like, I gotta help feed this fucking thing. Okay.
He'll eat my dog.
He has allergies. I have to literally make chicken for him. I have to boil chicken and serve him boiled chicken. Like, I can't just give him dog food. It's my fucking nightmare, guys. Please understand how much it costs to raise a deaf albino pit bull named Tato, guys. His name is Tato. Tato, short for potato dog.
I love that. My friend Stephanie would appreciate that.
It's a great dog.
I like that. I love that.
And he's deaf, guys. He's a deaf pit bull. I've raised and trained a deaf pit bull. Just buy shirts. His shirt is on ProWrestlingTees.com/Team Tremendous. If you look it up, there's a shirt with his image on it. Buy that. All that money goes towards Tato bills.
Oh, I love that. Is there like a wish list? There should be a wish list. You could like send like toys to the dog.
The wish list is his fucking vet bills, guys. Do you have any idea how expensive that is?
I know. I have a dog. I know.
No, I'm not. Yeah, let me get him more toys. He has a subscription to BarkBox. That's what he gets. That's all he's getting.
I can't so much. Well, this was such a fun chat. I definitely have to have you come back again. Like, this was a lot of fun. Thank you again for coming on and chatting with us and breaking me on the podcast.
No problem. Go watch AEW and tell them they have to book me.
Yes. Go, tweet at, AEW guys. Like,
just tweet Tony and be like, Dan Barry, book him now.
The guy that you don't know who it is.
Yeah, Tony who has no fucking clue who I am. Hey, book Dan Barry. I was going to just write or else and see what happens. I'm sure Elon won't block you.
Oh, man. Well, anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks for all your fan questions, all your questions in chat. If you guys will listen to this later, I love you so much. Thanks for all the support. I'm not doing anything next week. I am going to upload my Wrestling with Positivity video next week for Thanksgiving, so you guys have a wonderful holiday. I'll be back the week after with Ref Gina. So definitely make sure you hit that subscribe button. But so Dan, thank you again for coming on here. So
thank you.
You guys know the drill. Stay safe, support independent wrestling, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.
Enough is enough. They just